recording here.
Yep.
Glad to have you, and line up your questions now on either. Dave, you may have some on Facebook there. Go ahead. But first off, tell people about your week so far.
Oh, boy, it's been a busy week, and I'm going out of town tonight after we do... by the way, first of all, hello, everybody. How you doing? Dave Fennoy here, and I got Fred hanging out. And what is it? It's Wednesday. I'm going to New York. My daughter, the genius interior designer, is celebrating her 10th year in business, and I'm so proud of the kid. She just out of Pratt, she was named one of the 10 young designers to watch. She's an interior architect, and her business, Revamp NYC, has been killing. She does all these high-end homes and apartments and restaurants and businesses, and just doing great. And it also gives me a chance to go see my grandson. So
Nice.
that's great. So, whenever I travel, if I only have, 3 days in this week, everything gets compressed. And there's something about in voiceover, when you go out of town, that's when everybody needs you. That's when everybody wants you. So I've had a couple game sessions, a couple of political sessions, some promo sessions, and some commercial sessions, and a number of calls. Now, what time are you leaving? Do you think we could fit something in on? So fortunately, some people that I wasn't going to be fit in on Thursday. Oh yeah, you're gone Thursday, yeah, but I'm flying out tonight, Wednesday night. Oh, okay. I'll get back to you. That's the agent, and let's move it to next week. Thank you. Fantastic. Well, anyway,
Nice.
Enough about me. This is Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. And I really mean that. Anything that has to do with voiceover and your voiceover. If there are particular kinds of copy that are a problem for you, if you don't quite understand a genre that you're interested in, if you'd like to know what's the difference between doing promos and commercials and narration and animation in video games, because they're all different, and what are some of the opportunities in voiceover now, because actually the truth is there are more opportunities in voiceover now than there have ever been. And I've said this before, it's kind of the high-profile work and the not-so-high-profile work. And does it mean that the high-profile work will make you more money? Not necessarily. I know far too many people whose career is audiobooks, e-learning, corporate narration, and they're making $250,000 a year doing that. You don't hear them anyplace else, but the money spins the same. So the doors are wide open. All you have to do is get yourself trained, promote yourself, have your website together, get your home studio. Oh, Jesus, that sounds like a lot. We can talk about all of that. Right.
Any and all of it. Yeah, I've got nothing here, so go to Facebook.
Okay.
If you have something.
Let's see. Oops. Let me go here. See. What's your favorite USB mic on the road for recordings? I have answered this before, but repetition is how we learn. I have two, actually. One is the little mic that I'm talking through right now. It's the Apogee iPad mic, and it comes with a connection for either USB or was it Thunderbolt, the iPhone and iPad connection. The other one is has the same connection. It's the Sennheiser MK4 with the Apogee connection. It's a little bigger mic, a little bigger diaphragm. Sounds great. And my only complaint with this, it's the regular size of a microphone, so it takes up a little more room in my suitcase. But I like both of those mics a lot. USB mics have gotten better in general, but you want to get one that doesn't make noise. When they first came out, there was a little hiss and hum that they had. I think most of them have gotten over that. I have to be honest, I have not tried all of them. Although maybe I could get all the companies to send me microphones. All right. Did you encounter any voice loss when you started voice acting? No. Voice loss? No. My path was a little different, though. I had been a singer, which now I have lost a lot of my singing control. And I blame video games and all the screaming and shouting. But I would have to say, I think it's part of age. Sometimes your voice isn't as strong as it once was, and yet you have more control than you once did. There's a reason that if you're, 50, you can't play 20 anymore. Your voice changed. It sounds so much the same, and at the same time, it has aged, just like your face. Your face looks so much the same, you'll be recognized, but nah, you're not that good-looking 25-year-old kid anymore. You're a little older. All right.
I've got a question here, which begs the question: when we will set this up? When's your next teaching gig, seminar type thing? And I think we were gonna pick some dates at some point.
Well, we were gonna pick some dates, but you've been selling your house in Vegas.
That's the reason. I'm at fault, folks, so that is in fact true.
No, we're going to come up with something. I've got a lot of traveling coming up this summer. I'm going to be teaching in Seattle, teaching in Vegas, teaching in Dallas, teaching in London, teaching in Normandy, France. Haven't been there to teach before. And a few other places. And poor LA, I've been neglecting LA. I need to set up a date here. But we will be doing some more webinars. Sometimes I'll hit a point where I'm just really, really busy, and it's hard to just bring that much energy. But we're going to be doing some more, and we'll be hitting video games, TV promos, narration. What did I leave out? Oh, TV promos, narration, video games, I got it all. All right. What would your advice be for creating an animation reel versus one for video games? Perfect question right now. Thank you, Sean. Video games lean more towards drama. Animation leads more towards the comedy. Does that mean that we don't have some video games that are funny? No, we got some video games that are funny. Does it mean we don't have cartoons that are a little more serious? No, we do. I look at my career in cartoons. I tend to book the things that are more the adventure cartoons because that's kind of what my voice lends itself to. As opposed to the wacky, crazy cartoons with the crazy voices. That's usually not the thing I book, although I book some. So what you're looking for, you're going for more drama with video games. Video games have become 70-hour movies. And just like movies, they're in every genre you can imagine. There are even rom-com video games now. So for video games, what you really, 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 really want to be is a very good actor. You need to be able to put on the skin of various characters and let those characters speak through you. For animation, you're still putting on the skin of various characters, but those characters tend to be more wacky, more wild, more comedic. And once again, it's not that there's not comedy in video games, it's not that there's not drama in cartoons, but one leans one way, one leans more the other.
Okay, I got a comment and a question here. Good comment. Tim Bamba is saying he's got a Chaotica update. I spoke with them this morning. The Chaotica Fatboy will be their new design for the wider and larger Neumann 49s and the 47s and the other wide mics. Release is planned for later this year. Nothing yet planned for front address mics or shotguns.
Well, and I find it interesting that they're going for the wider, like the Neumann, they say the 47s
49s.
and the 49s. Those more often than not are being used, in studio to record instruments. What I see in studios around Los Angeles when you're recording voices, you're seeing 103s and U87s. I have been in some studios where they've had a few other Neumanns, but it's usually those two. And once I saw a 170, a TLM 170, and the studio went out of business, and I bought it. But it's interesting they went with the Fatboy, because I think in studio, if you're trying to get that keyboard, that guitar, but I guess if you're trying to do it in your hotel room, you got to record your guitar. Go for it.
I got a question from Thomas here before you go back to Facebook here. He says, in the past you said if you had a video game gig, but the next day you couldn't make a gig the next day because you were still recovering. What did you do to recover, and how long was it before you could swing that video game gig again?
Well, that was a very, very, very extreme game. This was a number of years ago. This is pretty much in the early days of video games in the 90s, and it was one of the Lucasfilm pod racer games, and I was playing 3 pod racers. The whole thing was in Huttese, the language of Jabba the Hutt, and it was all shouted, the whole thing. It was a 5-hour session, and you're shouting in Huttese, and I went one pass, took me a couple hours, because I didn't understand. I didn't know how to pronounce Huttese, so the director who spoke Huttese, which he's got a permanent geek card, would tell me how it's pronounced, and you had what you were saying. Well, after going through it one time, said, oh yeah, okay, now let's do it with a Jamaican accent. So we did it again and got done with that. Now let's do it with a homeboy accent. And we did that, and 5 hours later, I knew my throat was raw, but the next day I couldn't talk. And I had a gig. I was supposed to do a sports show, doing booth announce. And I had to cancel. It was just a few days later I had to cancel. Ken Fuchs still produces lots of stuff. He has never hired me again. And how did I get better? After that gig, it was just be quiet for about a week. I couldn't talk the next day and for several days. And after that, it was just be quiet. Just shut up, not say anything.
More questions here, but why don't you jump over there first?
Okay. I'm not sure I finished answering Sean's question. The reels for animation and video games are different. So your animation reel will probably have more funny stuff on it. Your video game reel will have more drama on it. I was hoping you'd get the connection, and I realized looking at his question that I hadn't taken it to the reel. There was a time, there was a time that you could get away with an animation reel if you had, say, some adventure games and you were playing adventure kind of characters and some of them the wacky characters. You could get away with a reel to serve both. That time has been gone for a while, though. All right. Do you like the Chaotica eyeball? I do. When I first got one, I didn't really like it. I was using it wrong. I was trying to get too close to it. And it's really set up so you're going to be about the same distance as you would from a regular microphone. And actually, you can still learn new things. I find now that even that 6 inches is often too close. I think we have some really fine microphones these days. Some of them have been around for a while, U87s, 103s, 416s. And I find that if I'm a couple more inches away, I get a truer sound of my voice without as much breath without as much depth. You know, when you get up here and you get all of that. Well, sometimes too deep a voice is hard to take for people. The voices we hear that are booking most things now are just the guy or the girl next door. So, you know, if you're one of those people, oh man, I just got the guy next door voice, don't feel bad. That's who they hire more often than not. Of course, now if you've got a very unique voice, a voice like mine, a little deeper, when they want you, they want you.
Okay, I got one here from Michael Sesson, speaking of voices.
Okay.
Who would you recommend for dialect coaching, like Scottish or Jamaican?
Well, oh gosh, and why does her name leave me? You know what? Go to my Facebook page and send me a message, and I'll send you a couple of names. I know some people who are very, very good. When I was working on Mafia 3, it takes place in New Orleans, and I was playing an underground DJ from the area, and they brought in a dialect coach to help me with my New Orleans thing, to just shift the southern thing that I do just a little bit more towards the New Orleans. And I worked with a young lady, and it was very subtle shift. And she was very good, and why her name is escaping my head right now,
Well, while you're thinking, he followed up with, what is your average time on a video game session versus an animation session?
Well, it varies. I had a video game session the other day, it was 4 hours. I had one also the other day that was an hour. It depends on how many lines they have for you. Oftentimes you're working on a game that you're playing a character that recurs, because that's what happens now. They don't just do one game. There'll be, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and expansions on this and that and the other. And if you're playing a character that is one of the major characters, you may be coming in doing sessions over the course of a number of years. And every now and then it'll be a 20-minute session because they just had a couple things to pick up, a couple things they wanted to add, a short scene that they needed your voice for. And then sometimes, like I had the other day, it was a 4-hour session. I was playing 3 different characters. And part of that is because there's a part of me that goes, oh yeah, I could, let's just go, let's just do it. But it's a collaborative art, and every actor needs a director. So sometimes you think you know what it's supposed to be, and your read was wonderful, it just was going in the wrong direction. So you need that director there to tell you what the context is. That, if you say yes, if that's the word, it can be said so many ways. You can feel so many different ways about saying yes. And sometimes the way you thought that yes was supposed to go was not, or the emotion behind it, the attitude behind it, what that character wants behind that yes is different. And hopefully the director knows. As a matter of fact, he better know, so you know. And that just makes for a better performance, because you may not have all the other lines. You've got your lines, and it seems to make sense if I am feeling this way and saying it this way. But the story actually is taking you in another direction, and how the character you're interacting with isn't saying it in the way that you thought he was.
Take one there. We got more here. But
okay. Let's see. Tara. Hi, Dave. I love my Cade 100S and my Scarlett Focusrite. What would you like to upgrade? Oh, what would I recommend as an upgrade? I think one of the best mics, I really like the Neumann products and the Sennheiser products. There are other good mics out there, but I would go with a TLM 103 or a Sennheiser 416 because they are the standard that you run into in studios. Now, if you have a big room, if you've got a big booth, go on and get you a U87. But the U87 is unforgiving of small rooms. It doesn't sound as good in small rooms as it does in a large room. But even though the 103 is the same capsule, it likes a small room or a big room. It doesn't care. And if you have a room that maybe there's a little noise from time to time, that 416, because it's so directional, there's a lot of things it won't hear. They were originally made for TV shows and movies with that boom guy could hold that thing, and sometimes you see them drop into frame in a television show or movie from a distance because it's directional. As long as they point it at your mouth, it's going to hear you. So you can work it from the side and very close. You can work it straight in front of you from a distance. It brings a lot. A lot of people travel with their 416 because if you're in a hotel room that has a little noise, it's a little forgiving. The problem with it, if the room has bounce, you got to build a pillow for it, and Chaotica Eyeball hasn't made one for shotgun mics yet. So, and the Scarlett Focusrite. Well, there's a number of good channel strips I would recommend. You could go the Avalon 737, which is a classic. People love them. They're about $2,400. Or you could go in the direction of, say, an Afix channel strip, which is about $900, but sounds great and is a little easier to use and probably will need less maintenance down the road. That Avalon, sooner or later, the condensers are going to go bad. Sooner or later, that you're going to need to change the tubes. So,
by the way, speaking of mics, Tim commented on his earlier comment regarding the Fatboy from Chaotica, and he says these are for singers on vocal tracks, not so much for VO work.
Yeah. We're there's a lot of mics that people are buying in that $200 to $400 range. Those some of them are what I call entry level mics, and they're not bad mics at all. But when you can, step up to that 103, that 416, that U87 if your room is big enough. They do make a difference. And
take one there.
Yeah, and a good preamp. Gotta love it. Jeff Landrum, when am I coming back to Atlanta? Well, I thought I was going to be back for VO Intensity, but not this year, so I'll probably be back next year for that. I'll see if I can arrange for a weekend there for voice acting for video games. Victoria Crow, would I ever come out to Toronto to teach? I would love to go to Toronto. One, I love teaching, and two, Toronto's such a beautiful city. I'd love to come. Generally, I tell you what, Victoria, if you know the voiceover community there, get some folks together and we can work it out. I'll get into it.
However, Dave, you will be going in November to the Chicago area. That Bill will invite you once again. The dates are not set, but it'll be early November.
Okay, sounds good.
So, Toronto to Chicago, easy trip.
But I'm still a working voice actor. I can't just stay out of town all the time. I travel, get there on the weekends, do my thing, come back. Sometimes it's a little difficult when I'm going to London because I'm gone a week, and I'm waking up in the middle of the night to do sessions and auditions with my Chaotica Eyeball in my hotel room. It's funny. Heard you're going to be in San Francisco soon. It is correct. I'll be doing some teaching up at Voice Tracks West up there, and you can check that schedule. All right. Watching. To add to Stephen George's question, how do you warm up and keep your voice healthy? I've had some vocal problems due to significant respiratory issues that has created something called muscle tension dysphonia, where I have vocal voids. I am in speech therapy, would love to know how you stay healthy and protect your asset. You know what? My voice isn't always healthy. I would say it's a little compromised now. A little earlier you heard me clearing my throat. And that was from the session I did on Monday. That was 4 hours, and there was a lot of battle stuff, and it was kind of stressful. What I do when I have a session like that is when I come home from that, I button it up, don't say a lot, drink a lot of warm liquids, even warm water. I'm not talking about lukewarm water, warm water, but it's better with lemon and honey. You don't even need to add tea. A real good natural honey, don't get the pasteurized stuff. Get the raw natural honey. And lemons in hot water, it's soothing. It will get you back to speaking much quicker. Be careful when you have a sore throat. Don't whisper. That's even tougher on your vocal cords than just talking. So when your voice needs a rest, just give it a rest. Okay, Jim, what's going on, man? Do agencies that handle voice artists handle the genres that are not so visible, like narration, audiobooks, education, etc., or are they more focused on commercials, promos, and the like? Typically, the agents have been commercials, some narration, but it tends to be the narration that's showing up on television, live announced, so television shows, award shows, TV promos, and not so much audiobooks, e-learning, not so much, and the narration that is more corporate. A few of those jobs will come that way. But that's a market that, for the most part, you're going to find either by yourself or using the pay-to-play sites, or a combination of the above. I think the ultimate goal would be to have a great agent that gets you great commercials, TV promos, narration that's going to show up in places like museums and National Geographic, Science Channel, and the lifestyle stations. There's a station for this is a tennis station, or this station, this kind of the various things that people are interested in. Have an agent that gets you those things, but don't neglect the e-learning, the audiobooks if you're into it. You've heard me say before, I've done 3, hope to never do a 4th, because it's just not me. I don't enjoy it. I like the stories, but hour after hour after hour, and then I got to edit after edit after edit after edit. And the story I tell of why I don't like it, besides the fact that I just don't. I was working for ABC a number of years ago, walked in, said next. 2 weeks later, I had a check for $5,000. When I compare that to audiobooks where you're 8 hours in the booth, or I'd never spent that much time with an audiobook, but several hours in the booth, and then also the editing. And you're looking at, 125, 150, maybe 200 per finished hour, but it took you 3 or 4 hours to do. It's just not me. I'm spoiled. It's just not me. That said, my buddies who do audiobooks and do them well make a very good living, and they love it. So it's not about this work is better than this work. It's what do you like to do? What brings you joy? What's that old saying? If you're doing something you love, you never work a day in your life. Well,
or the famous book, do what you love, the money will follow.
That's right. And you know what? That is a life lesson that I have learned. There have been a number of times as an adult, things weren't going so well here or there. I mean, before I was a voice, I was a DJ. Before that, I was a musician. And, I remember back in the day when, somebody had introduced my parents to Amway, and they were trying to introduce me to Amway, and don't you want to draw circles and whatnot. And I'm not knocking Amway. It just wasn't for me. And all the multi-marketing stuff, it just wasn't for me. And I have found in my life that anytime my motivation is to make money, I fail miserably. If my motivation is to do something that I enjoy, the money comes. And I just, that works for me. And I think for most people, if you find something you're very passionate about, it's easier to give yourself to it, and you will have joy in it, and that joy will translate.
I got another one here if you want.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the question is, let me see here. Favorite mic in your antique/classic collection and why?
I would go back to an old Neumann U87. But there's also a classic AKG C414. If you can find one of those from 20, 30 years ago, you're into something. I don't mention the AKGs a lot, but they're great mics. And that 414, even the new ones are wonderful mics. But the old ones, there was just a warmth and detail to them that made them very, very competitive with the Neumanns. Oh, Susan Bernards, thank you. Nice when people say nice stuff about you.
Yeah, a question from Tom while you're looking at that, if you want.
Go ahead.
When you travel, is your gear in your luggage or with you as a carry-on?
I never put it in my luggage.
I wouldn't either.
I got my backpack right here. It's all ready to go. When I hit when I leave here and post this, I'll be heading for the airport. I carry, in that bag, I carry a laptop. I carry this iPad that is what I'm doing Facebook Live from. I carry, I do take the Chaotica eyeball in my suitcase because it fits. But you can't hurt it. If it squishes down, it'll squish back out or unsquish. But my microphone is in that bag. All the wiring and everything I need, my headphones, all that stuff is in that bag. I would hate to, if I lost my luggage, and I don't know why airlines do that, but it happens. I would hate to lose a nice microphone. Now, that said, much as I love my Apogee mic, it's not an expensive mic. It's a couple $100.
Yep.
And I know, depending on where you are and how much money is coming in, that seems like more money than not. But if my 416, they're running about $900. A TLM 103, they're running about $1,200. U87 would be $2,500. So this is a much better mic to carry with you. It's more than adequate. It's a great little mic. And it wouldn't be that painful to replace.
Speaking of show and tell, Thomas was asking when we get a view around the inside of your booth.
You know what? I think what I'm going to have to do is do it as because I've got Facebook going here and I've got GoToWebinar here. I think I'll just give you a video tour and then I'll play the video at some point. And I just did some. I've got a desk now that goes up and down, and I built the top because I like doing woodwork. So I built the top out of some used lumber. And
that's something people don't know about you. Expound on that because people don't know how you're pretty into this.
Yeah, I am. And I wouldn't say that I'm really great at it, but I enjoy it. I've made some furniture.
I disagree. I've seen some of these pieces. I think you're pretty good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think I'm much better at voiceover work than I am at woodwork. But I'm learning.
Okay.
I'm learning. And one of the things I find is I spend a lot of time on YouTube now looking at these old guys telling you how to make this and make that. And be, oh, wow, I need a new saw blade. Gosh.
More gear.
More gear.
Business.
I don't care what you do. There's always more gear. But one of the things, some of my work, some people have liked enough to ask me to make some things for them. And I don't know if you know the rapper A$AP Rocky, but I ended up making a little something for him. I actually got paid for that, and that's not why I'm doing it. And a friend of mine, mother died. She was cremated, and rather than buy an urn, he asked me to make one. So I'm finishing that project now. And it's, makes you feel good that you can make something for somebody. And then I'll, stamp my name. Dave Fennoy, 2018. Yeah, one day that'll be worth a lot of money, Sonny. Anyway, where were we? Hey, Chris.
Don't start making a lot of caskets anytime soon.
No. Oh, no. How likely is one able to book a gig without a demo? Oh, Galena White. Well, I and this sounds weird. If I didn't have a demo, just from where I am now, and because I hadn't updated my demos until recently, I'll have some new demos in a week or two, I would still book because I've been doing this a long time. I'm a known entity in the business. When I'm teaching sometimes voice acting for video games, I will play a number of demos that people have out. Some of them, I always play ones for people who are working, and sometimes they're awful. And they can get away with it because they're really good and they're working all the time, and they didn't have to really spend a lot of time on that demo. They're a known commodity and they perform. If you are just getting started, if you're not a known commodity, your demo's way more important than my demo is. That's your calling card. That's what people are going to listen to decide, do I even let this guy audition? Or sometimes they love your demo and, oh, yeah, that spot in the third one on there, I love that. Yeah, can you give me that read on? Your demo has to be right. Your demo has to be right. I think having the right demo for the various genres that you do, having them be excellent, superlative, fabulous. I'm trying to get you to understand how important it is that your demo is very good. That's going to make you or break you. That's going to make you or break you. Now, you need to add the website. If you've got an agent, a lot of people are not working with agents. Some people are. If you have an agent, that's the tool your agent's going to use to get people to listen to you. If you don't have an agent, that's the tool that people are going to find on your website when you're doing your marketing that will make them decide to hire you or not. So after that, do it long enough, get enough of a reputation, and then it's just auditions. Then it's your auditions. All right.
You want another one, or you got yours?
Oh, I got one. Oh, let's see what you got.
Okay. Melvin's saying, I think you said previously that many agents cover different regions and not so much for different VO genres. Is that true? So in other words, it's more by region than by genre.
Well, it's a little bit of both. Not every agent covers every genre. I was with an agent for a number of years that, because I do TV promos and have had a real good career doing that, I made a decision. I'm not going to say it was a wrong decision, but I went to an agent that had a lot of the big voice guys doing promos, and I did a lot of promos with that agent. But when I left that agent and went to my current agent, I booked more animation and video games in the first year that I was there than I did in the 5 years that I had auditioned for in 5 years at the other agent. So not every agent gets everything. You want to be you want an agent that matches up with your skill set. If you're somebody that does TV promos and that's your thing, and that's going to be your main thing, you don't want to be with an agent that doesn't get a lot of TV promos. And chances are that agent wouldn't sign you anyway. But if you do some of everything like I do, you want an agent that covers a wider variety of voiceover genres. So, and that's the homework that you do to find your agent. Remember, that agent is working for you. Why would you waste your time going to a meeting with somebody and, trying to get them to sign you or hip pocket you or whatever, and they don't actually do that much of what it is you do? And you don't want to be that first person that they sign when they decide, hey, yeah, we need to get into this area. Oh yeah, that guy wants to do it. He can do it. Let's get him, and you want somebody that has contacts in that area. So if you're somebody that commercials is your thing, you really need a good Chicago agent because they kill it with commercials. New York agents, they kill it with commercials. If you're doing a lot of broadcast narration, New York agents often have a better handle on that than some of our agents here. Agents here have gotten better at it, but it used to be New York that was the thing. You want to do TV promos, New York, LA. There are some other places too, because the internet has, democratized what we do. But New York, LA. You want to do video games? You can do them from anywhere, but you're going to get the AAA games and more work in LA. Just the way it goes.
Okey-doke.
I got one up here. Jeff, can you recommend a good coach to make a demo with? There are a number of people in town who do really good demos. What genre? I have in the past done demos for people in commercial and narration and some other things. Right now, I've kind of limited myself to video game demos because there are enough other people out there doing them. And I have no desire to turn myself into a demo producer. I will produce demos with people I've worked with for video games, but I don't want to ramp up. Hey, I'm going to get all these demos going. That's not what I'm looking to do. But there's some very good people in town, and it costs you some money. Expect to spend about $2,500. If they're charging you less than $1,000, run away. Because the right demo is, especially when you're getting started, is an absolute necessity.
Okay. You can go. I've got nothing additional here.
Oh, how do you polish your home studio tracks? Oh, just a little spit shine on? No. Or do you send them completely raw? I don't do a lot of sweetening. I don't do a lot of, I'm not adding any reverb or doing a lot of touch up with EQ. I send the tracks as I record them. Now, when I record, there's a little bit of compression. If it's something a lot louder, I might add a little more compression to that. But I send pretty clean tracks. I also don't want to get into the business of being a producer. So I'm a voice actor. I don't want to start adding music and cutting in stuff to, you've got my voice tracks. Let the producers do all that. So if you get a good, clean sound, I think that's all you need. Our preamps now, especially the ones that have a little EQ, little limiting, little compression, set that for your voice. You want to set it enough that it enhances you a little bit, but is not noticeable, that nobody's going to go, oh, wow, he's got all that compression in there. You don't want it breathing, which too much compression will do.
Get up.
All right. Oh, I love this question. William Smith, what's up? Sending out auditions feels like throwing them into a black hole. Never hear anything back. Have you ever found out that your auditions built a good reputation for you with a casting director or producer over time that led them to calling you in? Absolutely. I have had from time to time, doesn't happen all the time. People are busy. They don't have time to do this most of the time. But I've had some time when I didn't get booked, where they've called my agent and said, wow, we really love Dave Fennoy. I mean, we was in our top 3, but we went another way, but man, we really liked his read. I have had auditions on video games where they didn't book me for the character I auditioned for, but they booked me for something else in the video game because, well, we loved his read, good actor, but he wasn't right for that part, but he's right for this part. And I do think there is something to what you suggested, that people begin to hear your voice. You ever hear a song that the first time you heard it, you didn't like it that much? And it kept showing up on your radio and showing up in the restaurant and showing up over at your friend's house. And after a while, you're kind of tapping your toe and, hey, wow, that tune's kind of catchy. And after a while, wow, it becomes one of your favorite songs. Or even the songs you hate 15 years ago, but now nostalgia, you love them. I think the same kind of thing happens with voices sometimes, that people just have to actually have a chance to hear you enough, and then they get you. Sometimes new things, new voice, new take doesn't take right away. So keep pitching. I think one of the things that does happen in this business, the people who actually have something unique to offer are the people who ultimately will work. Got to have some talent, and you got to bring something that's you to the game. Okay. Is there a book out there close to your heart that would make you reconsider your position on audiobooks that one time? I used to read more. I've gotten busy enough. I don't read as much as I used to. I used to read about a book every week or two. And that has fallen off, way off. But no. It's
although, you know what, Dave, I'm wondering, the book that you lent me, that I'm spacing on the name now, about the
gorilla.
What's that?
What was it about? Was it
the animal one where the animals are what's the one you lent me?
Ishmael?
Spacing. Yeah,
Ishmael. Oh, that is one of my favorite books of all time, and I'll recommend it to everybody. And they'll go out and buy it now. Some of these people, and they'll go, "What the hell is wrong with him?" And I love that book. It's the reading, the telling of the story, the editing, the hour in, hour out, hour in.
So even that one you wouldn't want to do.
Yeah, my attention span is too short.
Yep, I get it.
It's just an attention span thing, and I think everybody has the right to involve themselves in their career the way they want to. I know some people that are doing e-learning and corporate narration. That's all they do. They love it. They have great clients. They're making a very good living. Nobody's ever going to hear them on the radio or television, but they're loving it. And, that's one of the beauties of this business.
And that's fine for them, because some people want the money, some people want the fame, huh?
Well, I think we all want the money. And, I don't think most people get into voiceover to become famous.
No.
You get into it because it's something you like, something you feel like you have a talent for. And if that, I all I wanted to do was work when I started doing voiceover work, make a decent living. I never suspected that people would invite me to conventions and want to meet me and sign autographs and take pictures, do the selfie thing with them. But that happened. But once again, the old saying, shoot for the moon, you may land among the stars.
Yes, nice. Take other ones there.
Okay.
We're good.
All right. Have you had any experience with any Blue microphones? Yeah, Blue makes a very good product, and especially the higher end Blue microphones are really good. I would throw a rock at a Yeti or a Snowball, but the Baby, Bottle, and up, those mics are wonderful. Where we recorded Lee Everett, the Walking Dead game, up in Northern California, the studio there, Studio Jory's no longer with us, God bless him. At Studio Jory, he was in love with Blue microphones. He was a brilliant recordist, and he wouldn't work with anything else. He would turn his nose up at a Neumann. We had a number of conversations about that. And he did things like he'd have the microphone out, and then he'd put a lamp on it, a few inches away to warm it up.
Nice.
Yeah. And he got a great sound out of his Blue microphone. So, Blue makes some good microphones. Okay. Hey, Bob Gore, how you doing?
By the way, just FYI, because my internal mic on my Mac isn't working, I'm using my Blue Snowball.
Well, you know what? The Yeti, the Snowball, if you're, a podcast or something like that, that's perfect. If you want to do voiceover in a serious way, they're not going to cut it.
Yep.
You might be able to get a start with them, but it's not going to cut it in the long run. Just know that. Do I need a professional demo to get an agent? Oh yeah. What are you going to sell yourself? What are you going to call? Hey, I just want to come in and read some copy for you guys and see what's going on. No, I'm great. No, really, I'm fantastic. You're going to love me. You're going to book me. You're going to love me. No. You got to send that demo in for them to hear what you can do, for them to call you in afterwards to have a conversation, find out if you're sane or not.
I love that. That's fun.
Oh, hey, Marianne. And thanks for sharing so much.
We're planning to go to the airport. I mean, you can close up shop anytime you want.
Oh, I'll take a couple more. I'm doing the red eye. Hi, Dave. How important would you say on-camera and stage acting is to a voice actor? It might be not important at all. There are a lot of on-camera and stage actors that are doing voiceover. Sometimes it's an afterthought for them. Sometimes it's just part of, their overall career. I have heard complaints from video game producers that were trying to get celebrities in to do video games that they don't take it as seriously as some of us journeyman voice actors do. They don't understand the genre, so they won't bring it, as it were, sometimes. Now, and this isn't everybody. There have been some celebrities that really did bring it. But a lot of complaints about, it's a 4-hour session, they show up late or not at all. They show up, work for an hour, and now I'm tired now. Because the video game isn't paying them as much money as television or movies. And we're not always getting the respect from the high-end actors that we should. Damn them.
Gotcha.
Hey, I got your picture at a convention. Any special way to reach out?
Keep that. It'll be very valuable.
Oh, it'll be worth a couple dollars. Wait a minute. Any special way to reach out to other agents outside your area? Yeah. Send them a letter. Send them your demo. Tell them the kinds of things that you've been doing. And hopefully get a referral from somebody that they represent or somebody that they respect. Could be another voice actor, could be a vocal coach, a voice acting coach or something. But do your research and your homework on who the good agents are in different places that can enhance your career. Once again, you're not working for them. They're working for you. You're offering them the opportunity to represent you and make some money. Stop that. What are your feelings on being coached remotely via phone, Skype, etc.? I think it's great. I prefer Skype. You can do it by phone. I have worked with coaches myself when I was doing some training from time to time and worked over a phone. I prefer Skype because I like to see the person I'm working with. There's a lot that goes on in a person's body language and the look on their face. I can look at you and tell, oh, this person is in their head. They're out of the copy. But that works great, and it has made myself and other voice teachers a lot more accessible because you don't have to drive. I had a student the other day drove from Orange County, and I told her we could do Skype. And she, oh, no, I wanted to be right in the room with you. And I have some students like that. Great. But Skype works, and it allows me to work with people across the country. I've worked with people in other continents from time to time. So yeah, I'm down with the Skype.
Now you are just, I think, a little bit too heavy for your studio there.
Yeah, something. Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe were pretty damn good on the Beyond Two Souls game. And thank you. Like I say, it's not all celebrities, but I've been in too many studios where I'm hearing from directors and producers that far too many TV and movie actors screw up. They'll do things like not show up, or they're booked for 4 hours and then they go an hour and bail. Not everybody. I don't want to paint all on camera and movie actors with that broad brush, but oftentimes they don't take it as seriously as we do. Okay. Yep, done a lot of Skype. Yeah, Mohammed, that's right. Heard you on Suicide Squad. Awesome job as usual. If the agent stops sending you work regularly or something randomly, do you prefer to drop agent or just keep them hanging around? No, if you're not getting the auditions you should be getting, it's time to move on. I have a couple of friends, been in this business for a while, do very well. And every 2 years they change agents no matter what. And the agents are fine because they're working all the time. I get 2 years of those of that 10%. Woohoo! Yay! But that agent relationship, it's a business relationship. We become friends with our agents, hopefully. But if you're not booking, sooner or later they're going to drop you. If you're not getting the auditions that you would like to get, and you will have friends at that agency, and people will talk, oh yeah, I auditioned for so-and-so, and you feel like that's something you should have been getting, have the conversation with your agent. Hey, so-and-so told me about that. I'd like to, and if they're still not sending them to you, if you're not feeling the love you ought to get, find a new agent before they dismiss you, because it's much easier to get a new agent while you have an agent than without an agent. Word to the wise: do not badmouth anybody. Don't go to the new agency. Yeah, well, I got to leave that agency because, so-and-so, they're not doing anything for me. They really suck over there and da-da-da-da-da. This is a small business. Everybody knows everybody. Just because people may be agents at different agencies doesn't mean they're not friends, have respect for one another. And one of the worst things you can do is to step into our VO house and start bad-mouthing our VO family. You can feel what you want to feel. But don't show up as that person that's always, he's so this, she's so that. Don't show up as that person. You're going to X yourself out. There are enough people knocking on these doors now that we do not have to suffer assholes. Okay?
What a note to leave on. We're right at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I think that's a good one to leave on. And we're back next Wednesday. Hey, I'm wishing you lots of auditions and lots of bookings. And, we did want to mention, you were going to mention something there, Fred?
Yeah, I was going to say a couple things. First off, we're going to send out a new link for people to sign up and go to webinar because we kind of need to kind of revitalize that. And, of course, we still do have voiceoverphd.com available. So everyone, you want to go check out a very good kind of deal over voiceoverphd.com. And making sure that link works here. It appears to be working. That is your best value on all things Dave Fennoy training that isn't live and in person and one-on-one.
There you go. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, sir.
Get that house sold.
Have fun with your daughter.
All right, we'll do. All the best.
Okay.
Bye, Facebook gang.